So I'm like a minute late because right before I was supposed to get on here, I just found out that Bo Duke, actor John Schneider, got saved in 1998 while living with Johnny Cash. And Johnny Cash led him to the Lord. That's kind of cool. Anyway, so we're in the book of Ecclesiastes, and we've made it to the final chapter. We could finish today. I don't know. Let's just find out. Remember now your Creator in the days of your youth, before the difficult days come, and the years draw near when you say, I have no pleasure in them. You know, people have misunderstood this book. Maybe I'm being presumptuous, assuming that I don't misunderstand it. But I don't see a book about someone who's vanity, and he's kind of a woe is me. And like, I think many people actually think it was an unsaved Solomon who wrote this book. And no, I think this is an older Solomon who's turned back to the Lord. That he had wandered and now he's home. And so Solomon, you know, we really emphasize these last two verses when we started, but even here, he's saying, you know, and maybe you, are you a parent, grandparent, you know some young people? Tell them this verse. Remember now your Creator in the days of your youth, before the difficult days come. You know what? Better to get yourself right with God now. Better now than later. And might I tell you, if you're in your 40s or your 50s, better now than in your 60s or 70s. If you're in your 60s, better now than your 80s. Do it. Do it while you still have time. Because it says, as the years draw near when you say, I have no pleasure in them. Now, I like to exercise. It's a hobby of mine. But I know I've heard Joe Focht, pastor who I enjoy to listen to sometimes, he teases and he says, you know, like how he doesn't work out and this and that. And he's like, well, they say, you know, that for every, you know, hour you work out, you add, you know, this many minutes onto your life. He goes, but what's the point of I waste countless hours of my prime years in the gym only to add time to the end of my life when I'm old and I can barely move around and I'd rather just go home and be with the Lord. And he's making a point that, you know, your young life, and young is subjective, because however old you are, I'm going to assume we probably won't even have anyone in their 80s watching this today live. Maybe a recording later. God bless you. But you guys watching live probably still have quite a few miles left. And so why not use those miles now to serve the Lord? Why not use the resources you have available to you now to serve the Lord, rather than later when, you know, it's like, don't put off serving God. Don't put off, you know, oh, I'll give God my best once I get my ducks in a row. Guys, I have a little secret for you. Ducks are living creatures and they don't stay still. You're not going to get your ducks in a row. They're going to keep wandering off. And then when you think you've caught them all, you're going to find some baby ducks that got made, and you're going to be chasing them down too. You're never going to get your ducks in a row. So live for Jesus today. You're never going to get your ducks in a row. So just start going to your church's evening service. Make it to a prayer meeting. Make it to a men's or women's Bible study. Share the gospel with your neighbors. Share the gospel with your friends. Because one day you're going to be old and you're going to say that you have no pleasure in those years. Because honestly, now it's not that I'm not trying to talk down being old, right? But I'm sure if you are old, where people don't have any problem saying they're old, like they don't joke around anymore, like they just know they're old and there's no messing around, and they can't get around as much as they used to. They can't do as much as they used to. Many of these old people become very good prayer warriors, but they might say, I wish that though I had spent my time more. I can't even count how many pastors I've listened to at pastors' conferences. And it's kind of almost like the given answer now. I would expect to hear, if you could go back and do one thing different, what would it be? I'd spend more time with my kids. And that's the thing, is that we look back and we have regrets, and we don't want to have regrets. We want to do it now while we still can. Remember now your Creator in the days of your youth. Like I said, I don't care if you're 40, 50, or 60, you've got miles left on you, right? You've still got some time to do things for God. So why are you waiting? Just go at it with abandon. Just, who cares? I'm just going to serve the Lord. I'm going to start dedicating my life to him, giving him my all. And there you go. Living hard for the Lord before the difficult days come when you can't serve him any longer. So, spent a lot of time there, so who knows how much further we're going to go. Verse 2, while the sun and the light, the moon and the stars are not darkened, and the clouds do not return after the rain. In the day when the keepers of the house tremble, and the strong men bow down, when the grinders cease because they are few, and those who look through the windows grow dim, when the doors are shut in the streets, and the sound of grinding is low, when one rises up at the sound of a bird, and the daughters of music are brought low, also they are afraid of height and the terrors of the way, when the almond tree blossoms, and grasshopper is a burden, and desire fails. For man goes to his eternal home, and the mourners go about in the streets. Remember your Creator before the silver cord is loosed, the golden bowl is broken, and the pitcher shattered at the fountain. Now, when I taught Ecclesiastes, I went on this in detail, but I think I'm just going to go a little faster. All of this is poetic. Many scholars think that these are all just poetic ways of describing a body failing. The keeper of the house being the arms, the strong man's bow being the legs, the grinders are your teeth, those that look, the eyes, the doors that are shut, the mouth. Their hearing, the sound of grinding is low. And when you rise up at the sound of a bird, you become to there's a lot of old people that they wake up early naturally, or they get woken up easily. So even the birds chirping wake them up. The daughters of music are brought low, enjoyment. They're afraid of this and that, it's paranoia. The almond tree blossoming is white hair. And the strength that is desire. Well, grasshopper's a burden, meaning it's hard, it becomes light, things become heavy because your strength fails. Desire fails. You lose desires and you lose inhibition. So here is all this, and the organs failing. In fact, I actually didn't even keep going. The wheel broken at the well, the dust will return to the earth as it was. The spirit will return to God who gave it. Vanity of vanity, says the preacher, all is vanities. And so it's talking about everything else just failing and going away. So someday you'll come to the end of your life. Why not serve God now? That's just going back to what he started with in verse 1. Why not serve God now? And moreover, verse 9, because the preacher was wise, he still taught the people knowledge. Yes, he pondered and sought out and set in order many proverbs. He wrote the book of Proverbs, most of the book of Proverbs. The preacher sought to find acceptable words, and what was written was upright, words of truth. So it's saying, the stuff in this book is upright and truth. The words of the wise are like goads, and the words of scholars are like well-driven nails, given by one shepherd. And I have shepherd capitalized in my Bible, right? And so goads, it pokes you and prods you forward. Wise words, they push you in the direction you need to go. But at the same time, the words of scholars are like well-driven nails, and then they pin you down. They're both things you need to push you forward when you need encouragement to get going, but also nails to pin you down so you don't wander, you don't stray, you don't get off track. So these wise words, the word of God, it does both these things. It pushes you forward, but also secures you. And then lastly, Further, my son, be admonished by these things. Of making many books there is no end, and much study is wearisome to the flesh. So, we could study all day long. And some of these truths can just be believed by faith right from the get-go. You can spend all this time trying to tear them apart and figure them out better, but at the end of the day, it's much of this stuff, just take it. Take it, believe it, and act upon it. So here we go. Here's 2 verses for you to take, believe, and act upon. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is man's all. For God will bring every work into judgment, including every secret thing, whether good or evil. And there you have it. Fear God, keep his commandments. Fear God, reverence him. If you reverence him, you'll obey him. This Sunday, we're going to be going over where Jesus says, if you love me, keep my commandments. He just lays it out really simple. And it's not commandments that save us. It's not obeying Jesus that saves us. But because we're saved, we naturally obey Jesus. And so, this is the conclusion of it all, guys. This is the conclusion of the man. 2 Corinthians 5:10. For we must all stand before the bema seat of Christ, right? And give an account. We're going to be judged. And for the things we've done, whether good or bad, it's going to be brought to light. Jesus says in Luke 8, all things will be brought to light and made seen. No secret good deed or bad deed will remain hidden forever. It will be all brought to light at that judgment seat. And we will receive for what we have done. We might be saved by grace through faith, but we will be rewarded for our works. So it's not that they're without value, right? All right. I've got other things to get done today. Got prayer tonight at the church too. Hope you guys could join us. Just come and put your faith into action. Become a prayer warrior now before you're old. God bless you guys. You guys take care.